Testing. We broadcasting yet or what? Taking a while. Yes, no. Ah, good. Better mute that. Right. So, hello everybody. Welcome to this look at the new Disciples of Tzeentch Battletome. There'll be a few of you out there that may have already seen reviews of them, and have a pretty good idea of what is in this book. And I'm just going to go over a few things that I feel other people have kind of missed out on, and there's some things that I'll go over in a little more detail than some people have, and discuss what some of my opinions and my thoughts are about what to do with this, because there's a lot to take in, and there's a lot different types of army you can build. How competitive each one of those will be is hard to say. They're trying to get us to play Acolytes a lot more, which I kind of like because I have Acolytes in my collection, and before this book effectively they still are. They're the cheapest battle line unit I can get, which are expendable, but now they're going to do a little more. But going to look at the Allegiance abilities first. Destiny dice have changed. However, there is a note at the end which some people seem to have missed when they're talking about the Destiny dice, and I think the note at the end is a very important part of it that people have neglected, and I will read it out for you. It says, note that each Destiny dice spent only allows you to replace a single dice roll. If you want to replace a 2d6 roll, such as casting roll or change roll, you must spend 2 Destiny dice in addition. In addition, any rolls that have been replaced count as unmodified rolls and cannot be re-rolled or modified further. Now that last sentence is very important, especially against some armies or some characters. I'm thinking mainly of Khorne and Hedonites of Slaanesh with the Infernal and Rapturous that make you re-roll dice. If you use your Destiny dice, they cannot force you to re-roll those dice. So against Khorne, this is a very good thing. However, you need to do 2 dice, and it's very worded very strangely. And they cannot be modified further, so they can't suffer from negative modifiers, which means your Gloomspite gets Under the Moon -2, -1 to cast. Again, against Khorne, minuses to cast. They can't be modified. So you use your Destiny dice just to cast your spell. They can try to unbind it, but you can't suffer negatives or positives from this ability, which I think is really good. And it can't be re-rolled, so they can't force you to re-roll it, which is really good. However, it's been a bit of debate with the if you want to replace a 2d6 roll, such as casting or charge roll, you must spend 2 Destiny dice. Now, some people are still arguing. I mean, the way I see it, it says you must spend 2 destiny dice. So that doesn't give you the option to use 1 destiny dice and roll the other, just the way I'm seeing it. Some people are saying that you still have the option because it's each destiny dice spent allows you to replace a single dice roll. But if you want to replace a 2d6 dice roll, such as casting a charge roll, you must spend 2 destiny dice. And mainly this is people frustrated or questioning that about with regards to the Master of Magic with the Lord of Change and Kairos Fate Weaver, where normally you roll 2 dice and then the lower one changes to match the higher one, and they were suggesting that you use 1 destiny dice, for example, make it a 5, and then you roll the other. But it says here if it's a charge or casting roll, you must use 2. And again, the only other thing that is unclear here, which is again with that ability to change the dice roll. For example, if I used a 5 and a 1 from my destiny pool to cast a spell with my Lord of Change, in the Lord of Change War Scroll, it says change the lower dice to match the higher. So not modifying, but is it modifying it by changing it? It's something that I think will need FAQing. But I think not being made to re-roll or modify these casting rolls is I think that's a really good thing with the Destiny dice. Then let's see, the summoning table is pretty much the same. I don't think there is any change on there. The olive base 3 are the same. The cheaper heroes are the same at 12. Flamers are 3 flamers 18. That's pretty much the same. You don't lose all of your fate points by summoning something also. The gifts of worship, the agendas, these have been covered before. Although I think again people have missed something in looking at the finer details of these. Mass Conjuration is the self-explanatory one. You have to have 1 guy that casts 2 spells with an unmodified 9 or more. There's no way about that. That's just what happens. Again, you're going to be doing that with a Lord of Change probably, or Kairos. It'd be so much easier to do that because it's unmodified. The Ninefold Dismantlement one. This is the combat one. 1 enemy unit, because you pick it in the start of your hero phase. You choose which agenda. Now, and if a friendly Tzeentch unit completes one of the agendas, the following agendas during the battle, it gains the ability for the rest of the battle. You can only do 1 agenda. Let's see, friendly units that complete more than 1 agenda must choose which ability they wish to keep. So they can only have one unit can only benefit from 1 agenda. Again, something that I think people have not said. And you lose another one if you lose the other one. If you get 2, then you lose. You can't have both. The Ninefold Dismantlement one. This is killing an enemy unit that has 9 or more models before the end of that turn. The agenda is completed. So this before the end of the turn. So this includes Battle Shock. And it's add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by the friendly Tzeentch unit that destroyed that unit to complete this agenda. Now notice it says complete the agenda. And you start it in your hero phase, so you can use magic to damage the units of 9 or more. You can use shooting to whittle it down even further, and then you can complete the agenda in combat and gain the ability with the unit that killed it, that finished it off in combat. This is, at least this is the way I see it, because it says the unit that to complete this agenda, and you start it at you decide at which agenda you're going to do your hero phase. Yeah, you pick the agenda in your hero phase, and it has to be destroyed before the end of the turn to complete the agenda. So you can use all of your phases in order to finish this, but you have to finish it off in combat. Again, you're going to be looking at your Enlightened more than likely with these. The overthrow the leaders. An enemy hero or monster on the battlefield with a wounds characteristic of 9 or more. So these are usually monsters or monster heroes. Again, you can do this easily with a unit of Skyfires and some magic in one turn. Kill a hero monster, or monster, and add +1 to your save rolls for attacks that target the unit that destroyed it. And again, this doesn't have to be in combat. This is just anyway. You pick a 9 or more, and it's a wounds characteristic. So not remaining wounds. It's a base wound characteristic. So it can already be damaged when you choose the agenda, and then you can finish it off in your turn to gain that ability. Reckless Abandon. Finish a 9-inch charge. At the start of your charge phase, pick one friendly Tzeentch unit that is 9 inches or more from an enemy units. If it ends a charge move within that charge phase within half an inch of an enemy model, it's completed. And then if you do that, you get +1 attack for the unit that completed the agenda that any turn it charges. So that is really good, especially for if you're playing Zangor and you've got a unit of Zangor and they charge something, you can force that with the Destiny dice, 9-inch charge, then gain +1 attack for the entire unit, which for your Zangor, for your Enlightened, for your Skyfires, it is really good. And this is melee weapons. Again, for your Enlightened, that's amazing, because then you get in 3 attacks each with your spears, 4 with the Aviarch, and D3 +1 attacks with your discs. So those things, they're going to blender a lot of things. Tires of Anarchy. With a unit that has 9 or more models, you take control of an objective that your opponent previously had. This is going to be easily done with a unit of horrors, because you can charge into combat with 10 of them, lose a bunch, and then you lose 5, you all of a sudden have 15, and you can control the objective, and then those 15 models for the gaining that ability, those 15 count as 30. So each one counts as 2, basically like the ogres do. But you gain this for the rest of the battle just with 1 unit for taking control of it. So these can be completed very easily, and I think they can really help the course of the battle. Command traits, these are a bit, if I'm honest, these are a bit meh. I mean, and they're pretty much the same as they were before. Arch Sorcerer is the same, no 2 more spells. Nexus of Fate. You roll a dice and replace it with one that is in your Destiny dice pool. It's not great. Magical Supremacy. This one's not bad. Add 12 inches to the dispel of spells and endless spells. It's the same as it was before. Still a solid choice. Boundless Mutation. This has got better. Since there's no downside to this. There's no if you roll a 1 you suffer D3 wounds. It's just on a 2+ you heal D3 wounds allocated to this general. So that can be really useful. Although it's Arcanites only, so demons can't take it. And normal mortal heroes can't, so maybe good on an Orgroid Thaumaturge, but other than that, I can't see many others that you'd want to take it on. Cult Demagogue has actually changed. That used to be +2 to leadership for Arcanite units within 9. Now it's just if a casting roll is a double, regardless of the dice roll, it's automatically successful. In addition, if it's not unbound, you get 2 fate points instead of 1. They've kind of merged 2 of the old ones, two of the old command traits there, which is not bad. And again, if you know your opponent has no dispel left, you can Destiny dice that and waste 2 3s on a spell that needs a 9 to cast or something. It's okay, it's not amazing. And then Arcane Sacrifice. When I saw this, I was glad it was still there, although I'm disappointed they've nerfed it a bit. Instead of doing D3 mortal wounds like it used to, it does 1. It doesn't say I'm not negated, but it says if you do 1 mortal wound to friendlies in each unit within 3, which is it used to be D3. If you do so at the end, until the end of the phase, add 9 inches to the range of any spell successfully cast by this general. So, I mean, I used to use this every time, but what's changed is in the old edition, you used to get to re-rolled casting rolls. In this one, you don't. You just get the extra 9 to successfully cast spells. So it's frustrating that they've taken the rerolls away from that. It seems they're trying to force you into doing one of the covens. And you'll see why when we get to them. Because Arcane Sacrifice, is it worth it now? I don't know. I think it's probably better just to go with one of the covens and suffer the loss of some of these traits. The mortal traits, Nexus of Fate, is the same as Nexus of Fate there. Roll a dice and swap it with your Destiny pool. Don't care. Because it's random. No. Soulburn, if the unmodified roll, this one's not too bad. For a Tzeentch, for example, a Slaves to Darkness hero, a Chaos Lord. Chaos Lord on Manticore, not a bad idea if he's got 2 weapons, because this affects both of them. If the unmodified hit roll of an attack made by the melee weapon with this general is a 6, it inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition. So with your Chaos Lord on Manticore, that'll include his spear, which is already pretty good, and his sword, which already does the same. So his sword, 6s to hit, are going to do 2 mortal wounds. So that's not a bad idea if you want to go the mortal route. And then Illusionist, subtract 1 to hit rolls for attacks that target this general. That's not a bad one also, because it's a command trait, and if you are taking a mortal hero, this is what I would definitely consider. Chaos Lord on Manticore, give him the Illusionist, so he's -1 to hit, and then give him the Artifact, the Griff Feathered Charm, so he's -2 to be hit. Just flat, not just in combat, just flat -2 to hit from anything. I think that is a pretty strong way to do things, but that's just one option. And then you've got the Demons, Arch Sorcerer again, no 2 more spells, Nexus of Fate, the same, Magical Supremacy, the same, Demon Spark, immediately gain 3 Fate points. Okay, whatever. Incorporeal Form, ignore a spell or endless spell effect that affects that on a 5+. It's okay. And then Ether Tether, this is probably the one I would take, maybe with the Demon Hero if I was going without a Coven. Add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target this general. +1 save is pretty good. Like Lord of Change with a 3+ save, it's not a bad idea. Gaunt Summoner on a Balewind Vortex is going to get a 4+ save against attacks that are targeting. So it doesn't work against AoE effects, things that don't target them. But yeah. Artifacts of Power, I mean, these are all pretty much the same. Wicked Shard, there's the same, reroll wound rolls. Change Blade, kill a hero, get a spawn. Nexus Staff, once per battle in your hero phase, you can pick 1 endless spell and auto-dispel it. That's changed. It's actually not bad, especially if you're casting on the spells, because then you can cast it, dispel it, and then recast it. Timeslip Pendant, it's the same as it was before, fight again at the end of the combat phase. Demon Heart, once per battle, I pick a unit, and it suffers within 1 inch of the bearer, and it suffers 3 mortal wounds. Not bad, but it's once per battle, and it's Paradoxical Shield, add 2 to the save. This again, not bad, but it's the reroll successful saves, so you need a 2+ save to be able to reroll it. And then once somebody comes along with Rend, it's not as good. Rerolling successful saves, I don't like the idea of that. Treasures of the Cults, Arcanite Heroes, only on mission's end, once per battle at the end of the hero phase, 1 enemy wizard within 1 inch of the bearer. Again, you've got to be in combat with them right next to them. They suffer D3 mortal wounds. In addition, they cannot attempt to unbind any spells until your next hero phase. Yeah. It's very specific. Secret Eater, pick one of the weapons. Unmodified roll of an attack made with the weapons is a 6. You can add 1 to your destiny dice. That's not a bad one, but again, you need a lot of attacks for that to really pay off. And your Tzeentch heroes generally don't want to be in combat. Pick one of the bearer's weapons. I mean, the best I could think of would be the Ogroid Thaumaturge's hooves, because he gets 4 attacks with those. But you know, who cares? Just casts Glimpse the Future and get a fate point and destiny dice. Spiteful Shield. If you roll a 6 to save, the attacking unit suffers 2 mortal wounds. After all the attacks have been resolved. A big whoop. Again, if you're in combat with your heroes, if a Tzeentch army, you're generally not doing a good job. Demonic weapons. Again, they give you these weapons that you don't want to be taking. Let's see. Sentient weapons, unmodified roll of an attack. Made by is a 6. And the target bears an artifact of power. The target no longer bears the artifact of power. If a weapon was picked and the artifact of power is selected, the weapon reverts to normal. That is actually, I mean, you need to take a demon hero, which aren't good in combat anyway. You could take a Tzeentch demon prince, I guess. But yeah, to destroy somebody's artifact of power, I mean, that's not a bad idea, but it's, again, very specific. What does the Warfire Blade do? Do one of the weapons, unmodified hit roll, attack made as a 6, 2 mortal wounds, in addition to normal damage. That's not bad, but like I said, this is the issue with giving you great weapons and going, oh yeah, demons can carry them, but you've not got any good demon combat guys. Blade of Fate, melee weapons, one spare battle. Unmodified roll of attack with the weapon is a 6. You can replace one of you. Really? No. I'm not even going to read the rest of them. Phantasmal weapons is the same, increase the rend by 1. It's okay, but I'd rather take some of the other things. Demonic power. Here again is where they've frustrated me. Aura of Mutability, add 1 to wound rolls by demon units that are wholly within 9 of the bearer. Not bad. Wellspring of Arcane Might, this is one I would definitely consider taking, especially with a lot of change or a Gaunt Summoner. Reroll casting and unbinding rolls with the bearer. It's good. However, the one that I normally took was Aspect of Tzeentch, which has improved. And whenever you use a Destiny dice, roll a dice on a 5+, you get another one back. And I still like that, though it means to get a second artifact, you have to take a battalion, which is something that I'm probably going to have to look at, because I want Aspect of Tzeentch. The ability to use more Destiny dice is good, and it's a lot better now. So spell laws, Bolt of Tzeentch hasn't changed. Arcane Suggestion, much better. It's hopeless. You just choose now. It used to be you roll a d3 and see what happens. Now you just choose what happens. The enemy takes d3 mortal wounds, -1 to hit and wound rolls until your next hero phase. In previous one, it used to be until the end of that turn. Now it's until to your next hero phase, so it's much better, and it's reroll to hit 1. It's -1 to hit and to wound. It's very good, and I think a lot of people will be using that. I know I will, especially with the ideas that I have. I mean, you hit a unit with Geminids, and -1 to hit, and then you cast that on them, -1 to hit and wound. You're really nerfing almost any unit that you go about, and there are other ways to improve that. Neil, subtract 1 for save rolls for attacks that target that unit into the next hero phase. Another one that I will be intending to use often. This is good against units where, I guess it's good against orcs, especially if you're shooting at them with anything that has render 1. So your Skyfire's doing D3 damage. Effectively rend 2. You know, -2 to somebody's save. Shooting at orcs, have a 6-up save. D3 damage each. That has a lot of potential. Glimpse the Future is still the same. Shield of Fate is slightly better. Reroll saves of 1 when you have 1 to 3 Destiny Dice. 4 to 6, reroll all saves. So it's not failed saves, it's just reroll saves. 7 to 9, it's that as well, but you ignore spell effects, or you on a 4+, you ignore spell effects for that unit. So you cast that last after casting any other buff spells. But yeah, it's okay. That's 7 to 9 Destiny Dice. And you use Destiny Dice quickly because they're useful. Infusion Arcanum, still the same, casting value 5, +1 to hit and wound until your next hero phase. Still a good spell. Good now on the Sorcerer Lord on Manticore. Cast it on himself with Oracular Visions on himself. 4+ rerolling save, rerolling to hit and to wound. No, 2s to hit and to wound with everything, apart from the tail, which would be 3s and 3s. Treacherous Bond is still the same, although it used to be on a 3+, now it's on a 2+. You pass wounds off to a unit wholly within 9. It's good, not amazing. Laura Change, it's again still remains the same. Bolt of Tzeentch, Treason of Tzeentch, 6 is a whole unit, do 1 more wound. Arcane Transformation, this has changed. It used to be you can do it once per battle to, you could only do it once per battle to a hero. Now it just happens until the end of the phase and you can do it again. But it has to be a friendly Tzeentch hero wholly within 18. They get +1 move and bravery, or +1 to attack characteristics with the weapons. It's okay. Unchecked Mutation has changed. It used to be D3 mortal wounds, and as long as you can keep rolling 5-ups after your D3 mortal wounds, 1 mortal wound, roll a 5-up, D3 mortal wounds, roll a 5-up, 1 mortal wound, roll a 5-up, another one, and so on. Now it just does it twice. You do D3 mortal wounds. If it kills something, you roll a 3+, then it does another D3 mortal wounds, and then it ends. So not great, but yeah, whatever. Full Reality is exactly the same. And Tzeentch's Firestorm is also exactly the same, so no change there. I was hoping for a little more change with the actual spell laws, but you know, there's some good spells still there. It's still a good law. Now we come to these, the hosts. I'm not going to go over these so much. I still think the host Duplicitous is probably the strongest. And it's not. It doesn't say it's not specific things that you have to take. Any army can be any of these. You just get benefits for having things in it. For example, these host Duplicitous, it's all about demons, but you can have plenty of mortals in this army. Also, but yeah, your enemy can't retreat, and any units within 3 inches of host Duplicitous cannot retreat. That is a really good thing. Command ability that you have to take with your general, or that you get. It's a command that you get, and it's okay. When a horror unit dies, you roll a die. It's on a 5+. You get it back anywhere on the board within 12 of a hero more than 9. So you effectively summon it again. Not bad, but it's on a 5+. Yeah, who cares? The command trait that you have to take with your general. This is really good. For a command traits that you must take, you can't say this is bad. Reroll casting and unbinding rolls for friendly Duplicitous demon wizards while they are wholly within 9 inches of this general. So the people that you want on the move, your Fate Masters, your Zangor Shamans, they're not demons. So the Magisters on disc, they're not demons, so you don't need to worry about them staying within this 9-inch bubble. So they can run off and do their own thing. In fact, I was toying with the idea of having the Zangor Shaman with the Book of Burning Eyes, the Book of Stoner's Eyes. I don't know. The Book of Smoking Green Things Eyes that makes your eyes burn. Let's actually have a look at the name for this stupid book. The Book! Just Tome of Eyes. Because this follows you around. That's an endless spell that actually counts as you keep it within an inch of your model, so it doesn't keep you where you are. You just cast it and it follows you around. Just has to be within an inch of you. And that's reroll casting. So you reroll if you take that with a Zangor Shaman, a Magister, a Gaunt Summoner on disc that's flying about elsewhere. They can cast that spell and reroll to cast. And then you can have you guys hanging around on the back line with your general re-rolling to cast with this for free. And the artifact that you have to take is add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target this bearer. So again, it's the first artifact that you have to give. So you can take a battalion to get another artifact and give it to somebody else, which is probably going to be the way people are doing it. But +1 to save, again, having a lot of change with a 3+ save, you can't tell me that's a bad thing if you want him as your general. Again, your Gaunt Summoner, you have him on a Balewind Vortex, he's got a 4-up save, you know, he used to be 6-up save. Gaunt Summoner on disc would have a 3+ save. Because I think that I can't remember if it gives him an extra save or extra wound. Let's look at that. Change Gaunt Summoner. Oh, it's in the wrong book. On this one, he has a 6-up save. I'm not sure if the disc Gaunt Summoner has a 5-up save. And he might just have an extra wound. Anyway. So yeah, Host Duplicitous is strong. A lot of people like the Eternal Conflagration because it makes your flamers better. It gives them rend and stuff like that. They're good, but they're going to die easily. Although I think they might become battle line in the Eternal Conflagration. Host's Arcanum, this one's a good one. It requires you taking a lot more Screamers. Although Screamers are good with this because you have a command ability that gives you Screamers +1 rend. And that would work nicely with Arcane Suggestion, reducing somebody's save also, so effectively becomes rend 2. And Screamers with that are good at, if you can reduce a monster's armor save by 2, then your Screamers are going to be doing D3 damage each, so they're not bad. You keep a Fate Master near them, they're rerolling to hit, -1 to hit. I know you need a demon hero for that. But a Fate Master rerolling to hit, which are 4s and 3s, I think they are now. D3 damage against monsters, so rend 2 D3 damage. You can make a mess. Good against Mangler-Squigs, I would imagine. Spell Hunters, when they fly over when you fly over things, you do a D3. Wait, what? You can move D3 Host Arcanum up to 6. Okay. Cult of the Transient Form. This is one I was looking at that I might try at some point. I don't know which. I really don't know which way to go at this point. They've posed an interesting problem for me here because I don't play Change Host, but I'm going to have to maybe start thinking about it. But Cult of the Transient Form, it's okay. When your acolytes die, you roll a dice on a 2 to 5. They attack before you take them off. On a 6, you add a Zangor model to a Zangor unit within 9. And that's pretty much it. Command ability, you add 1 to the dice roll for when acolytes die. Command trait, add 2 bravery characteristic to Cult of the Transient Form units wholly within 12 of the general. Wholly within 12 is pretty small. You're going to get 2 units at the most, I'd imagine, unless you have 4 around your general. And add 1 to the Bearer's Wounds characteristic. I just maybe give it to an Ogroid Thaumaturge if you've got one. Have 9 wounds. Maybe a Zangor Shaman, give him 7 wounds. Or, a 6 wound Gaunt Summoner's not bad. 15 wound Lord of Change. It's not bad, but there are better items out there. It's just a shame that that's pretty meh. Pyrophanic Cult, I could try this. I'm not going to at the moment. But this makes your acolytes shooting better. +1 to hit. And if anybody dies, you roll a 5+, they take D3 mortal wounds. It's okay. But you can't rely on their shooting. Again, maybe unless you've got a Fate Master near them to reroll to hit with his command ability. But then you need a second command point because you want the +1 to wound. Or is it reroll to wound? Reroll to wound. So it would be 3s and 3s, rerolling to hit and to wound. It's not bad, but that's 1 unit, it's not the whole. -1 to hit your general, and if you got somebody's got a character's got a missile weapon, 6s to hit, do D3 mortal wounds. I could see that being good on a lot of change with the Rod of Sorcery, doing 2d6 attacks. That could potentially be good. But other than that, I don't know. Again, with the Fate Master rerolling to hit, it might be okay. But we'll get to the Fate Master. I think there's a lot of potential for that guy in this. The Guild of Summoners, I am not keen on this. A lot of people were raving about it when it first came out. Basically, you can summon loads of Lord of Changes for cheap. Like 9, 18, and then 30 fate points respectively. But they're the only things that you can summon. And while the thought of having more Lord of Changes is a really fun and interesting thing to do, it gets you nowhere. Because you don't get to choose spells for them when they appear on the battlefield. They just have their basic War Scroll spells. So the minute you summon more than one, all you can do is cast Infernal Gateway once, and then Mystic Shield and Arcane Bolt, which is just a big waste. So, it's a bizarre thing to it's a bizarre place to be in. It's like, why would you want to summon more than one other Lord of Change? I mean, and not be able to summon other units. I'd seen there's so much more flexibility in being able to summon pink horrors, blue horrors, brimstones, flamers, screamers, other characters that come with their own spells. I can see why Games Workshop did this. It was like, oh, let's have people buy, whispering, let's have people buy more Lord of Changes. And they're a beautiful model, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see 3 Lord of Changes on my field, but what are they going to do? Nothing. There's the battle plan, not read it. I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm not going to do it. Path to Glory, don't care. War Scrolls, Fate Legion, never going to touch it. Battle battalions, most of these I'll never even look at because they're just, it's always 1 and 3 to 8, or 1 and 8, 1 and 3 to 8. These are all demons which I just don't have. And they're not great. Change Host is the best one. It's the winner, like it was before. And this with the host duplicitous could be ridiculously broken. Deceive and Dismay. Yeah, pick 2 units. As long as your Lord of Change is alive and on the battlefield, in your hero phase you can choose 2 friendly other, so they can't be a Lord of Change, but other units from the battalion, and remove them from the board and set them up anywhere more than 9 from an enemy. This could be crazy because you can pin somebody in place with a unit of 10, 20 horrors, then you've got 40, you've got 50 or 100 wounds just keeping you where you are. They can't retreat, they have to stand there and fight your pink horrors, which split into blues, which split into brimstones. If you've got a hero nearby with they get the -1 to hit because of the locus of change, and they get you could take Fold Reality for them if you so choose, or use your Destiny Dice to bring back D6 pinks each time you lose. It's insane because rolling the 1 with the pinks with your horrors, as long as there's pinks there, you automatically pass your battle shock and get D6 back. So none of them flee, you get D6 back, and then you've just increased the number that's there. It's pretty crazy, and it's just a way of keeping something in combat perpetually. And the second you this -1 to hit, you attack that unit with Geminids, and maybe have a mortal wizard there that can cast Arcane Suggestion, -1 to hit and wound. The -3 to hit, -1 to wound. They're not getting rid of that many horrors. Overseas Fate Twister, don't care. Omniscient Oracles, Kairos, and 3 Lords of Change. Okay. There's no benefit for taking this. Reroll hit, wound, and save rolls of 1 for friendly units in this battalion. So your 4 Lord of Changes get to reroll hit, wounds, and save rolls of 1. Really? 4 of the best demon mages in the game get to reroll 1s for hits, wounds, and saves. I mean, who's ever going to take that? It's not worth the paper they printed it on. Arcane Cultists, we were looking at Immortal stuff. Arcanite Cabal used to be so much better. Your guys used to know an extra spell. Now it's garbage. I can't see anybody taking it. Unless it's just to take a battalion, but then I'd rather take other better characters for a battalion. Now, if you want to, when you spend a Destiny dice, you roll a dice, and on a 2+, you can replace one of your remaining Destiny dice. So you don't get a new one, you replace one of your other ones that you still have with that dice roll. And why? It's garbage. Altarkin Coven, this one isn't bad if you're going Acolytes, Zangors. I might consider it at some point, I might have to try it. 1 unit of Carrick Acolytes, 1 unit of Zangor, 1 unit of Skyfires. At the end, God, bloody church bells. Continuing sec. Right. At the end of your charge phase, you roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of a friendly unit from this battalion. So, with any luck, you can get multiple units within 3 inches, but then you're risking getting killed. On a 6, they take D3 mortal wounds. If anything is slain, you add a Zangor to an existing Zangor unit in your army. Yeah. Witchfire Coven has to be enlightened on foot, so I'd never even consider taking that. 3 units of Acolytes, 1 unit of Zangor enlightened on foot. Once per turn in your hero phase, you can pick 1 friendly Carrick Acolyte unit and it can shoot. It used to be all your Carrick Acolyte units can shoot. Nobody's going to touch that anymore. Scarshoal Coven, it's not bad, but it does require 2 units of Enlightened on disc and 2 units of Skyfighters. So you're either talking 2 units of 3, or maybe 4 units of 3, or maybe 2 units of 3 and 2 units of 6, but then you're going to have no battle line. But yeah, I mean, this one's not bad for if your unit flies over one of your opponent's units, you roll a 2+, and they take D3 mortal wounds. It's not great. It's not the best in the world. It's not the worst in the world, but it's like requires you taking 2 units of each. I don't understand why it can't be 1 unit of each and a Zangor Shaman. But you know, what are you going to do? And then the Zangor Coven, again, this is one where if they'd have kept the numbers of the units as they were, I would have probably taken it. It used to be 1 of each, I'm pretty sure. Zangors, Enlightened, and Skyfires. But now it's 2. Hasn't it? 2 units of Skyfires, 2 units of Zangors, and 2 units of Enlightened. Now, and these will be Enlightened on foot because it's not. It doesn't say on disc. It's just Zangor Enlightened, and it's not in bold. So again, I'm not touching that because Enlightened, they're going to be on disc every time. But yeah, to get this coven, this battalion, you need to min-maxing minimum size units to get that in, and that's when your army becomes really crap because you have 2 units of 10 Zangor, which are going to do nothing, and 2 units of 3 Enlightened, which are going to do nothing. Same with the Skyfires. 1 unit of 6 is so much better. Anyway, that's enough of my whinging about the battalions. Like the only one that I would consider, and this would just be to take a battalion to get an extra command point and extra artifact is the Altakin. But that's just the way I play. War Scrolls, not changed amazingly. A lot of change, slightly better. They have Rend. They get the Dispel, a free Dispel with the Spell Eater. So Dispel an endless spell for free. It has to be within 18. But it's not bad. If the Unbinders still have the Spell Thief, if the Unbinder roll on 9 or more, they can attempt to cast that spell if it's possible to do so for the rest of the battle. So that's not bad. And that's something that Kairos doesn't have. He is not a spell thief, which is interesting. But then, I mean, he doesn't need to be, because he knows all. Let's see. Does he still know all of? Can attempt to cast 3 spells in his magic in hero phase. Attempt to unbind 3. This is what makes Kairos better. For 20 more points more, he can cast and unbind 1 extra spell. He still has his Oracle, change any dice roll, although it's specific now. In addition, while friendly wizards, so it doesn't say Tzeentch wizards, while friendly wizards are wholly within, so you can ally somebody in and have this. Wholly within 18. He knows any of those spells on the wizard war scrolls. So not spells that you choose from the lore, but on innate ones that they bring with them. So if you take Be'lakor with you, you can cast his Enfeeble Foe. Or Sorcerer on Lord, you can cast his Wind of Chaos. There's quite a lot that you can potentially do, at least as far as I'm aware. There might be others. I think maybe in this allying a Ratman, a Skaven dude maybe. Learn one of their spells. Basically, any wizard within 18 inches of him, he knows what's on their war scroll. Which could be it's insane. For 3 spell slots, he can nuke a lot. Yeah, because he's got his gift of change. So now it just does flat 6 mortal wounds. If he kills something, puts a spawn there. So he can squish a character, straight away, squash, kill a character, and then for his other 2 spells, he could cast the Gaunt Summoner's spell, Infernal Flames or whatever it's called, and the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, Wind of Chaos, and they just melt units. He's got the potential to really be good as Kairos. Gaunt Summoner, he's the same as the one in the Slaves to Darkness book, only 20 points cheaper, 140 to be not on a disc. Exactly the same spell, exactly the same abilities. A lot of people love this guy. I mean, because you're paying 40 points or 60 points for a mage, a 2-cast mage, and it's good. They nerfed his spell, which a lot of people are fine about. I'm kind of disappointed. But you can't have everything. As it stands, the Chaos Sorcerer Lord and Manticore's spell actually works out as a 4+, with the 6s being D3s. It actually works out better than the Gaunt Summoners, but he's only a 1-cast wizard. And it's if you want to pay the points, because there's a lot of points to bring when you've got to consider that he brings a unit of, we'll say, Pink Horrors with him, because that's the only unit you're going to summon. But it's expensive. It's a big chunk of your points spent on a character to bring a unit that, I mean, is good. Don't get me wrong, but is it worth taking 2 other units for the costs of him? Maybe. What, for 240 you could take a unit of acolytes and a Fate Master and still have points left to spare? Or a unit of acolytes and a Herald of Tzeentch? Fluxmaster, Herald on Disc, Changecaster, Herald on Foot. Changeling's changed, ironically enough. He doesn't count as one of your opponents anymore. You don't have to reveal him. It's just he's a 2-cast wizard. He doesn't come with a War Scroll spell. He knows he can attempt to cast and unbind 2 spells, and he knows spells of enemy wizards while he's within 9 inches. But if he's within 9 inches, he's dead. He's gonna die the next turn, and you don't get to teleport him anywhere. He just he's okay. He's come down on a lot of points, but you really need to protect that guy. Stick a unit of pink horrors in front of him, it'd be okay, probably. Especially for a 2-cast wizard, and he's pretty cheap now. Blue scribes are even better. Their spell casts on a 2+. The scrolls ability, spell casts, pick a spell, it casts on 1 dice on a 2+, cannot be unbound. They know the spell boon of Tzeentch. Cast on a 4+. Other wizards can cast reroll casting attempts wholly within 18. They're pretty good still. Definitely worth thinking about taking. Screamers are the same, although benefit with that other host. Burning Chariots, they're good with the Flamers host. Same with the Exalted and Flamers. There's a place for them now in that host where it's all shooting, all Flamers, all very squishy. Horrors. I refer to this as the War Scroll that never ends. The Eternal War Scroll, because you can see the amount of text on there. These are the crazy good, but they're not going to be fun to play against. And I think they're going to stop being fun to play pretty quickly, because you kill one, you put 2 horrors down. 2 blue horrors down, and you keep doing the same. It's adding more time, doing more things. Oh, you kill one, I'll put 2 horrors down. Oh, you kill one, I'll put 2 horrors down. You kill the 2 horrors, I'll take them off, put a brimstones down. Oh, you killed 2, I'll take them. It's just more time, taking things away, putting them back, taking things off, putting them back. These are just making your turns longer and making things so much more frustrating. I preferred the way it was before, in just getting points to summon blues or brimstones, because it was something. It's like, okay, there you go, I've got those to the side and I can summon them when I need them. I don't have to sit there removing casualties, putting other things back on, take them off, put them back on, take them off. It makes an army that can take a long time to play even longer, and I can see people not enjoying that. Magister on Disc is the same as the Magister on Foot. 1 more wound, move 16, he has a disc attack. What can you say? It's exactly the same. He's not bad being able to turn people into spawn, but he's still lacking something. I enjoyed using the Magister when I could, but it was rare that I would get him into an army, because there's other things that are just better at take. Now, the Curseling, here's a guy that I think is really going to change things. I keep using that word, change. But the Curseling is so much potential now. He gets to re-roll unbinding and dispelling attempts. So re-rolling dispel attempts of endless spells, really good, really useful, and re-rolling unbinding is also very good, because is a vessel of chaos, and if he successfully unbinds a spell that's possible for it to cast. Now this is important, especially with his Gleam magic. He can immediately attempt to cast that spell even though it's your enemy's hero phase. If it's successfully cast, it cannot be unbound. Now, if you cast the Tome of Eyes with him, he's rerolling to cast. So he's rerolling to dispel, and then you could reroll to cast something that your opponent can cast if he knows it. He can do 2 spells a turn, 3 if you count your opponents. And he gets Gleam magic, which casts on a 3+. If it's successfully cast, you pick a wizard within 24 inches of the caster and visible to them. Pick 1 spell from that wizard's War Scroll, not one that they know, just the War Scroll. It's that is possible for the model to cast, and roll a dice. On a 3+, they learn the spell. It used to be if you had to roll higher than the casting value of the spell. Now you just roll a dice. On a 3+, you learn that spell, and you can then cast it. You stick him on a Balewind Vortex, he can cast 3 spells a turn. So he could learn a spell, cast the spell that he learned, and then cast the spell that you have brought with you from the Law of Fate. So the Curseling, he's got so much potential, especially considering the amount of... So yeah, most wizards that you'll come across have their own offensive spells on their War Scrolls, and they're usually pretty good. And there's so many factions that have these spells that you can go, oh, well, I'll learn that spell, and then I'll cast it at you. One that sprung to mind almost immediately was the Cities of Sigmar Battle Mage. On his War Scroll, they have, what, 8 spells? They can only take 1 of those. You can learn all 8, potentially. No, you couldn't. You could only learn 5 in 5 turns. But you could learn 5. Any of those 8 spells you could learn with him and then cast, which is just pretty crazy. I'm going to try using a Curseling, because I think there's a lot of potential there, and against any faction I think there's a lot that guy can do. And this spell 24, it's a good range. You stick him on a Balewind, that's 30 inches. He can learn to learn a spell from. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try the Curseling. Eyes of the Nine, Votimus the All-Seeing, don't care. Looked at his War Scroll, it's garbage. Fate Master, his is cleaned up a lot. Pretty much the same, it's only his command ability has changed. And it used to be you roll a dice and all models within 9 can reroll that. Now it's just all Tzeentch, friendly Tzeentch units wholly within 9 get to reroll to hit. So with him being movement 16, you keep him with a unit of Enlightened. They can attack first without having to wait for people. Or a unit of Skyfires. You keep him, say, a unit of 6 or 9 Skyfires, rerolling to hit with a shooting. That's gonna really mess people up. Or maybe 2 units of Skyfires, 2 units of 6. 12 shots with the Skyfires, hitting on 3s if you've got a Zengor Shaman near him. Rerolling to hit. There's a lot of potential there. So there's a lot to be said for the Fate Master these days too. Ogre Thaumaturge, he's pretty much the same. His spell has changed. He used to generate, what do they call them? Brimstone horrors around the unit that he fired his missile at. The amount of mortal wounds he caused outpopped Brimstone horrors. Not that many. That's been got rid of. Now he just gains that many wounds back. D6 mortal wounds for each model that is slain by mortal wounds inflicted by the spell. You can heal 1 wound allocated to this model. Can still reroll hit and wound roll attack. No, this is different. He used to. Yeah, he used to get +1 to hit and to wound when he'd taken wounds. Now, if any wounds or mortal wounds were allocated to this model earlier in the same phase, whoop-de-doo. So he has to fight second and take damage before he can reroll to hit and to wound. Is better a little, but not much. Still does D3 mortal wounds after he charges. He's a 1 spell cast. I mean, it's not bad that he can recover wounds. Movement 6. So I think that's gonna play. Might have been 8 before. But yeah, he's good. He's still good. Acolytes are a lot better. The save improved by 1, so the save of 5 up now. All to wound has gone to 3+. It all used to be 4+, now it's 3+. The cursed glaives are now rend 1, damage 2. Now that's a really big change. It's something they needed and they got. So now they could potentially actually do some damage in combat. And they get to cast a spell now, which they didn't before. They are now wizards. They cast a spell. They can only cast this spell, but it casts on a 6 and on friendly Carrick Acolyte unit wholly within 9. So they can cast it on another unit, not just themselves. But they can only cast this spell. They can unbind and dispel. Yeah, they could cast it on a different unit, not just them, if you've got a bigger unit that needs the buff more than they do. But it gives their shooting rend, which is potentially really good. The Vulchark still does the same, although it's on a 4+ now instead of a 5+. If a wizard casts a mortal wound, casts a spell within 18, on a 4+, they take a mortal wound. Still good. The scroll has changed. The scroll used to give them +6 inches to the range. Used to make them 18-inch range. Now they're just 18-inch range. The scroll gives them +1 to casting and unbinding, which is also very good. They can only cast spells while there are 9 or more in the unit. No massive deal. Skyfires are the same. Chaos Spawn are obviously the same. Zangor Shaman is the same. Enlightened are the same. Apart from the fact they have all lost the demon word. Everything on a disc now is not a demon, so you can't cast Fold Reality on it. They would be too OP if they were demons, because then they would get the Locus of Change and be -1 to hit in combat. So I can see why they took it away. No big deal, they're still good. Zangors have not changed. And then we've got the endless spells. A lot of people are not keen on the Burning Sigil of Tzeentch. I kinda like it because on a 1 or a 2, bad things happen to your opponent. Take D3 wounds. If it kills something, you get a spawn. Half move, half movement until you start your next hero phase. Then on the 3 on a 3+, it benefits you. 3 to 4, pick one unit within 12. This is what people don't like about it, is because you have to have your units within 12 as well, otherwise you have to pick your enemy's units. So just bear that in mind before you cast it, or where you place it. But yeah, move D6 even if you ran in that turn. So for Zangors that can run and charge, they can move D6, run D6, and move D6 again, and then charge. Cats are right now. Limbs, spawning limbs. Add one to the attack characteristic for that unit's melee weapons until the start of your next hero phase. Again, good for Enlightened. Very good for Enlightened. Shifting Aura. Pick one unit within 12. Subtract 1 to hit rolls from attacks that target that unit. So they're -1 to hit. Also good for Enlightened or Skyfire if they don't wipe out what they're killing. -1 to hit is really good. Especially if you want your Enlightened to go second. They're going to suffer a lot less damage. Tome of Eyes, you cast it, it follows you around. You have another spell. When you cast it, unit within 18. On a 3+, they take D3 mortal wounds. In addition, for each model that is slain by the mortal wounds inflicted by this spell, subtract 1 from the bravery characteristic of the unit for the rest of the battle. So this is good against almost anybody that isn't immune to battle shock. It's just ridiculously good. It also has an additional effect of re-rolling casting rolls, and if you roll a 2 or a 12, a natural 2 or 12, boxcars or snake eyes, it's automatically cast. It's effectively an old miscast. It's automatically cast, but you take D3 mortal wounds. Yeah, I mean the odds of that are very slim, but I'll take the free unbindable spell. Yeah, there's a lot of potential for that. And then there's the last one, the Demonic Simulacrum, which there's far better endless spells out there that are direct damage. Casting value of 7 as well. Only within 12, move up to 9. After it's moved, roll 9 dice for the closest other unit within 6. So 12, 9. I can't count. Yeah, anyway. For each 5+ to take a mortal wound. So 9 dice, you're going to get 2, maybe 3 mortal wounds out of it. There are far better ones you can take. How many points is the Simulacrum? 50 points for 50 points. I think it's better to take Purple Sun for 50 points, or either the Pendulum for 50 points, or if you go in Chaos and you take Slaves to Darkness guy with the Mark Tzeentch, there's the Darkfire Demon Rift, which is also 50 points, which would work really well in a Tzeentch army if you're going to take lots of endless spells, because that gives +1 damage for each other endless spell and wizard within 12 inches of it. So I wouldn't bother with this. It looks nice, and I could probably make one of my own, just buy the base, and because I have some Lord of Change heads left from the old kit that I made. I've still got, yeah, so I could make my own easy enough, but I'd never use it. I would just never use it. Oh, if it's a wizard that you choose that do a mortal wound on a 4+, so 9 dice, you're talking 4 to 6 mortal wounds maybe. Yeah. And it's only 1 unit that you get to affect, so yeah, there are other endless spells definitely worth taking. I mean, and that's pretty much it. I don't want to go over the points values, they're covered by other people. But yeah, they're pretty much the same. Some come down a lot, some come down a bit, some gone up a bit. They're a bit more balanced. And yeah, I mean that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helped you with something. Hope you learned something if you're not playing Disciples of Tzeentch. I hope it gives you some insight. If you are playing in Disciples of Tzeentch, I hope it helps you figure out where you want to go with your army. Plenty of options, some more competitive than others. Some are going to take more learning than others. But yeah, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see some more. I need to do some more videos on Slaves to Darkness potential builds. If they're popular enough, I might do some potential builds for Disciples of Tzeentch. Leave a comment, let me know, and we'll see you next time. Until then, take care and happy wargaming.